Welcome to the Transform My Dance Studio podcast, the only podcast for dance studio owners, where each week we bring you business growth strategies to help you increase your profits, impact the lives of more students, while ensuring you get back some time to have a little life outside of the studio. It's time for you to become the go-to studio in your area. Now, here's your host, founder of the Dance Studio Owners Association, Clint Salter.
Hey there, dance studio owners. Welcome to the Transform My Dance Studio podcast. It's Clint here, and I'm super pumped that you're joining us for today's episode. Now, today's guest is Vanessa Van Edwards. Now, Vanessa is the lead investigator at Science of People, Human Behavior Research Lab. She's a Huffington Post columnist and published author. Her innovative work has been featured on NPR, Business Week, and US Today. She regularly gives keynotes and appears in the media to talk about her fascinating research. And I can't wait for us to jump into it, guys. You are going to be so excited by this conversation. She's also written for CNN, Fast Company, and Forbes. And Vanessa's latest book, Captivate, was chosen as one of Apple's most anticipated books of 2017. Hello, Vanessa. Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So tell us, Vanessa, what is the Science of People? What do you actually do inside of your business?
Yes, we have a very unique business. I joke that I'm a recovering awkward person. And I really am still in recovery. So all of my tips come from a need that I had growing up, where I felt like I was given a lot of technical skills and I was given no people skills. I barely knew how to do algebra and chemistry and history, and those things were great, but I could not have a conversation for the life of me. I dreaded recess. I mean, forget like negotiations and job interviews. And I was like, something is wrong here. I want to try to fix it. And that's what we do. We try to fix people's skills you've never learned in school.
I love it. And so let's talk for a minute about like the introvert and the extrovert, because I feel like this is a conversation that's like happening so much now. And you know, it used to be that people were like, I'm an extrovert. And now a lot of people are like promoting, well, I'm an introvert. Can you tell us a little bit about those two types of personalities?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you asked. So last year, maybe the last 2 years, was the year of the introvert, right? Like Susan Cain's book came out and everyone was owning their introversion. And I think, and I'm going to try to usher in this new trend. We'll see if I can do it, Clint, but I'm going to try to usher in the year of the ambivert. And I don't know if you're listening, if you're one of these people where you hear extrovert and introvert, and neither of those labels really feel like they fit you. Which is the way that it was for me. And this was always growing up. You know, I knew that I was a little bit shy, but I also knew that in the right situations, I could be very extroverted, depending on my mood, depending on who I was with. So I was like, I just don't think I'm either one of these things. And then I realized, and there was a great set of research that came out, that basically extroversion is a spectrum. It's not a label. It's in that we fall somewhere along the extroversion spectrum. So some of us are very extroverted, which, by the way, the scientific definition of extroversion is actually with 3 different traits. One is being more talkative, so using more words in the average day. 2, being more cheerful or optimistic, so having more of a positive outlook. And 3, loving enthusiasm, so like being a cheerleader or like really getting energy from people and giving your energy to people.
Love it.
Yeah. And so sometimes like maybe I said 2 of those, and 2 of those were like, you were like, yes, that's me. One of them, you were like, no, that's not me at all. And the other side of the scale is introversion. So introversion, you're going to use less words in the average day. You're going to get energy from being alone. So solitude, creative time, brainstorming, being in solitude really refuels you. And then lastly is you're much more of an observer. So you are very, very good at looking at a situation, looking at a relationship, looking at people, and trying to gauge what's happening and where you fall in that situation. So depending on how many of those on either side you fit into, you lean more towards one side of the spectrum. And most of us, 80% of us, fall in the middle, we fall in this ambiversion. And I think that that's actually where a lot of the magic happens, is in the middle of the scale.
This is fascinating. I love this because it's a conversation we have a lot with our studio owners, especially when they're talking about their team, and they'll label a teacher, well, she's such an extrovert in class and she's amazing and blah, blah, blah. But she comes out of class and she's like, got nothing. She doesn't want to talk to the parents. She doesn't talk to me. I don't hear from her, but she gets in class and she performs. So we keep her. And then on the flip side, there's that person who like, they feel like, they need to bring out kind of more of their personality in class, but then they like see them on Facebook and social media and they're out partying, having a great time with their friends.
Okay, so this is absolutely right. And it's a common problem for a lot of us. So especially in the professional world where you have people who maybe they thrive while teaching, they thrive in the studio, they thrive learning routines and choreography and, really being with their people, their dancers. But once they get out of the room and they're dealing with parents or producers or trying to do PR, then it's like, oh, this is survive. Like, this is not thrive. So the good news is that once you know this about yourself and once your team knows this about you, it actually becomes an asset as opposed to a liability. So first of all, I wish that I'm going to have to send this episode to my old dance teacher back in the day. She would love it because what you have to realize is you never want to try to be something that you're not. And we've heard that a lot as a cliche, but this actually works really well with how you interact with people. So this is how you choose your partners. It's how you use your work setup. So for example, let's say that you are an ambivert and you thrive as a teacher, but you're not so good in the operations department. So hiring, negotiating with parents, following up with PR leads, scheduling shows, that is not your strength at all. You would be really well served when you're hiring a front desk person or where you have a partner or asking for volunteers to pick someone who is on the other side of the ambiversion scale than you.
Yeah.
So they should thrive in all of those operational things. And the same thing if it's reversed. Maybe you're really great at operations, but like the classroom gets you real nervous. You want to make sure that you are only hiring people who balance out your people skills.
Yeah, totally. Is there a test for this, Vanessa? As I'm listening to you, I'm a big fan of tick this box, this is what you are. I mean, it sounds like there should be some kind of test created around this, ambivert. I love it.
I think we have one actually. I'm just checking as I talk to you. So on our website, we have a free little test for this if you're not sure. Awesome. So if you go to scienceofpeople.com/ambivert, there's like a video of kind of the overview. And then I also have a little free quiz where it's like, I think 10 questions where you can answer where you fall on the scale. So yes, go test yourself and go test your employees, right?
Team,
like have them go take the test. And then you have this great conversation to talk about, including also, your students, your partner, those are all people who you should know exactly where they fall.
I think it's crucial. And so let's talk about the conversation and how to have the conversation with our team, because, so often, with our studio owners, they've got teachers or receptionists or office managers, and they'll come to me and they go, Clint, I just wish they did this better, or they don't do this very well, and their attention to detail is not very good. I mean, I feel like we're going to learn so much out of, of being able to identify through your test. But then how do we have the conversations with them about this?
Yeah. This is a really important point, because I actually think that what you've asked is crucial, because it's one thing to know that you're an ambivert. It's a second thing to know that your team is a different part of ambivert. Then how do you talk about it? So what you want to do is, this is all about incentivizing. So this is about how do you motivate someone to either have behavior change or respect a boundary, right? So if you say to someone, I love teaching, but after class, I'm so exhausted. If you, as a parent, have any questions, or if anyone has any questions, if you could email me so I can think through the issues rather than be bombarded right after class, I would so appreciate it. Right? Like that's a big ask. So what do you do to try to get someone to respect that? And this is an idea that's called resource theory. And this was created by a researcher named Foa. And so what he found out after researching what people need to be incentivized is that we all are trying to gain certain resources in our life. There's actually 6 categories of resources. And this is in, I think, chapter 8 of my book, which you're welcome to check out if you want sort of the detailed list, but I'll go over them for you here, which is one is that feeling of belonging. So feeling loved, feeling respected, feeling accepted and liked. That would be, if you're a people pleaser, this would be you. You'd be in this category. And with people pleasers, the best thing you can do to encourage them is actually not financial rewards. It's not prizes. It's actually gold stars. And I literally mean like, my gosh, like I am so grateful. I am so happy to have you in my studio. For someone who's addicted to love and being liked, that is like it's the greatest feeling of fulfillment. So love is one. The second is service. So this is people who are doers. They're usually like the workhorses. They are constantly signing up for extra things to do. They'll sort of, stay late and go early. They really appreciate their hard work being appreciated. And they also don't mind taking on more tasks. The third one is status. So status is about titles. It's about recognition. It's about public praise. So for example, on my team, I have someone who really prefers, her value language is status, not necessarily higher pay or bonus or whatever. So for me, I know that if I want to say something nice to her, I'm better off saying it in front of a big team meeting because she likes having that public recognition. I had no idea that there was a distinction there, but actually that's very important. Fourth, fifth, and sixth are a little easy. They're money, goods, and information. So money, real easy. They're the ones who haggle you constantly. They're the ones who are constantly asking for more pay, and they're the ones who want you to pay for mileage and all that stuff. Goods is usually things. So trinkets, gifts. I mean, everything from the trophy to the leotards. They're the ones who are really obsessed with the physical aspect of things. And the last one is information. So being in the know, gossiping, having all the information. And so knowing those 6 things is how you have to leverage what already appeals to someone to be able to get them to buy into what you want them to do.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, when we're having this conversation, I mean, I love this list and it slightly reminds me of, the 5 love languages, Gary Chapman's book, where he talks about, whether it's in business or in a romantic relationship, like what is love? Because love is different to everyone. Yeah. And so I love this. How do we identify in our team members, what is the thing that they're connected most to out of this list of 6?
So there's a couple ways. One is you can do the direct route, which is to ask them. Right? And you don't have to necessarily say, in chapter 8, did you find that the quiz was helpful for you? You can do that if you want. But like the other easier way is, when do you feel most appreciated by me? So they will surprise you often with that answer. I find I'm always surprised. Like that, I asked my employee that, and she said, "Oh, when you post at the end of the week at our group meetings all the articles that we wrote, and you post mine, and I always get so excited when I'm number 1." I'm like, really? Like that's like an afterthought. I never even considered that was anything. Or whenever I get a bonus, I know I'm doing a good job. Or whenever you bring me back a little gift from your travels, I just feel like you really care about me. So asking that kind of question, or noticing when they light up and when they don't, right? Yeah. If you feel like you've rewarded someone, or you are feeling really good and they don't feel that way as well, you're like, I must be using my resource theory and not theirs. Yeah,
I love it. I love this. This is so powerful for our studio owners who have teachers and their office team. And I feel like a lot of the time everyone's trying to guess, I gave you money. They're not happy. I just gave them a pay rise. I just gave them a hug and told them I love them, and they're not happy. What else do I need to do? And I feel like we do this in all areas of our lives, right? We do it with our partner. We do it with our friends, with our family members. And so I'd love to kind of talk a little bit about, should we be having these conversations as well with those people that aren't just our employees?
Oh gosh, yes, so much, because I think that our relationships are our biggest asset. And I think we work really hard in this life to get a house and a car and, have accolades and have rewards. But actually at the end of our life, I think the quality and the fulfillment we get from our relationships is the most important asset we have. And so not just investing in our business relationships, but also making sure that we are speaking to our friends' resource theory and that we are making sure that our partner is feeling fulfilled. That not only is a great investment for the future, but it also makes sure that when you're having a really bad day, as we all do, and you go home to see them, they are so supportive because they know how to best support you. So in a way, it's like this win-win-win. It's an investment forever. It's also helps you on your lowest day.
Yeah, I love it. I love this stuff. This is so cool, Vanessa. I want to switch gears slightly and talk about our customers, because as studio owners, we're dealing with parents a lot of the time who sometimes are unhappy. Maybe their child isn't in the front row and they want them to be, or maybe their costume doesn't fit anymore, or it's split, or maybe they've been overcharged. How do we have, really constructive conversations with our customers when they're maybe not very happy? And how do we stay out of getting highly defensive and emotional in that moment?
Yeah, that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges in life, unfortunately. So first is that you have to know that when someone comes at you with anger, so when someone attacks you, or they're yelling at you, or they're irritated, even if it doesn't have to do directly with you, or even if it's not your fault, it triggers our own immune system and our own physiology to respond in anger. So we start to pump adrenaline, we start to pump cortisol. So what's really important is you don't try to do this in that moment. And this takes training, in the sense of you have to train the people in your studio, your clients, your colleagues, even your dancers, to know that they cannot come at you in that peak moment. And so for the first few months, what this might look like is this. I'm so upset. Can you believe? Hey, Sarah, I hear you. I hear you are really upset right now. I know that neither of us respond well when you are so upset. Tell you what, can you write down everything you're upset about, and let's schedule a time to talk about this tomorrow, next week, later in the month. They're not going to like that boundary. They're going to be really mad about that boundary. But I will tell you, it is worth holding it, because after the first 1 or 2 times, they will begin to respect it without asking you. And also they will feel that they are more productive during those rescheduled phone calls. So having that same response, and I would practice it with that really calm voice tone in your head, but voice tone out loud. If you keep doing that with all the people in your life or in your studio, they will be trained to then wait until you are both not in adrenaline cortisol mode. Because it's impossible to be logical and have good solutions when you're in that place. So that's the biggest thing, is training the people in your world to not come at you when they're in high emotional states.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I love that. I can feel like our studio owners getting so excited that you just said that. They're like, I'm writing that one down. I can use that one.
And I will say, like, I know how hard it is to set up boundaries. It's the challenge of a lifetime. But if I can say to you, you are empowered to do it. You have every right and every emotional capability to be able to ask for what you need. And as a business owner, it's actually good business to make sure that you're teaching the people in your life that they have to not come at you when they're in high emotional states. So I know how hard it is, but it is good business to do that. I swear.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. It's great. Now, to wrap up, the last question I've got for you, Vanessa, because you are working, you have your own business, you're working with so many other, large companies, small size companies as well, like our studio owners. What are your 3 tips from the work that you do that would help our studio owners to become more effective leaders inside of their business?
I would say inside your business, one is to make sure that you are finding your tribe. So I think that, as business owners, we are constantly in the pull to try to appeal to everyone. The problem is usually 80% of your headache comes from 20% of your bad clients. And so I think that building your business to try to find your people, not all people, right from the start, when you're writing your marketing, when you're putting out ads, when you're, creating the flyers in your studio, when you're thinking about your shows, think about finding the right people, not all people. That would be the first thing, just because that will save you that 20% headache client. And you know who I'm talking about.
Totally.
We all have those. Second is boundaries, which we talked about earlier. It is okay. Not only is it okay, it's actually good business to set up boundaries in your business. just like, and I think of clients sometimes as wonderful, loving children. Like, as parents, you want to love your children and you also have to set boundaries for them. And children like that, right? When we have control and parameters in our environment, that actually makes us feel more secure. So setting up boundaries in your business, when someone can come and talk to you about a billing issue, when someone can ask you questions, what someone does when they're really angry, the flow in the studio, all of those things are really, really good for your business and for your clients. And the last one would be that I think that we focus a lot on skills, especially in my business, certainly I'm teaching people skills, and in your business, you're teaching dance skills or technical skills. Mm-hmm. But remember that your emotions are contagious. So we're also teaching people with who we are, and that's helping inform who they are, especially if you're working with little ones. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the biggest gift that we can give the world is to show up and make sure that our emotions are positive, because they are caught. And so, knowing how to get yourself out of a funk, making sure that you know what to do if you can't show up for the day is really important, because you always want to show up so that your emotions are positive.
Yeah, powerful way to wrap up. Vanessa, I could talk to you for such a long time. This stuff is so interesting. And for all of our studio owners that are listening, so much wisdom here and things that they can apply straight away into their business, which we love on the show. Tell us, Vanessa, where can our studio owners go to get more information about you?
Sure. Yeah. So everything's at scienceofpeople.com. Definitely take that ambivert quiz, which should be really fun. And then if you're wanting to dive deep, my book is called Captivate, and it's wherever books are sold.
Awesome. Well, Vanessa, thank you so much for your time today. I greatly appreciate it. And I look forward to connecting with you again.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. For all the resource links from the show and to receive access to our free dance studio growth training, make sure you visit transformmydancestudio.com.